who say or do the wrong thing, whether I agree with them normally or not. We like to call them out, friend or foe. In the same vein, as you know, I've been happy to support and back people of quality, whether it's business owners like Paul Dimatina fighting for a fair go in Melbourne, families being poorly treated by heartless politicians like the Killian family last week. We do like to help out where we can. And occasionally, just occasionally, I've lent my public support through this program and columns and other forums to quality people trying to kickstart a political career. That's why over a long period I've supported two strong, intelligent and courageous Aboriginal women who both hail from Alice Springs originally, Jacinta Price and Karen Little. Now and then we disagree on some issues. That's always the case with everyone, but I've got great respect for both of these women and I've been happy to support them in their efforts to enter federal parliament. The good news is that Karen Little, as we told you back in February, was pre-selected by the South Australian branch of the Liberal Party in a winnable spot for the Senate.
I was born and raised in Alice Springs. I've been connected to many Aboriginal organisations, but at a governance level. In Indigenous affairs, most of my work has been on in the area of economy, so jobs and employment, and also business development for Indigenous Australians. So, you know, I'm hoping I can bring that perspective to the work of the Parliament.
So that was good news. She's a Senate candidate, not a senator, but should be a senator if things go well for her at the next election. And this month we discussed Jacinta Price's bid to take the top Senate pre-selection for the Country Liberal Party in the Northern Territory.
I have been told by MPs, whether federally or state MPs who aren't Indigenous, that they find it difficult to push back against issues like that they find it difficult to, I guess, advocate for issues regarding Indigenous Australians because they're often shot down because of the colour of their skin and told they're racist for attempting to advocate on behalf of Indigenous Australians. And given there is, there are those with that difficulty, I know that I can certainly bring that fight to the table.
Well, more good news. As you will have heard over the weekend, Jacinta was successful, defeating the sitting Senator Sam McMahon. This is great news. Two strong, independent Indigenous women on the Conservative side of politics, pre-selected into winnable Senate spots without quotas, without special treatment. I don't want to put too much pressure on these women. It's over to voters now, of course, but some of us expect great things. Let's bring in Liberal New South Wales Senator Holly Hughes now. Holly, thanks for joining us. You must be excited about the prospect of two Indigenous women from Alice Springs who have fought their own different paths, and they're both promoting self-reliance, personal responsibility, economic achievement agenda for Indigenous Australians. It's a good move, isn't it?
Look, it's a really positive change to the conversation that we've seen in the past. Jacinta in particular has been very strong in speaking out against Indigenous, the oppressor versus the oppressed narrative, and maintaining a statement of victimhood for all Indigenous Australians. Jacinta is more than aware that if we're going to give Indigenous Australian communities the agency to really represent themselves and to move forward, moving away from that statement of victimhood that the left too often cling to, I think can only be a really positive step forward.
It is indeed. Now, I want to get onto some pandemic issues with you and some of the rules and restrictions around the place. A very novel twist on all this has occurred in the UK, where the Britain's health minister, effectively, Matt Hancock, has just resigned because of some footage I think you'll be able to show you soon, some security footage of him. Well, what's the technical word? I think he's snogging his ministerial advisor in a back room in the health department offices. Now, the bizarre thing here is even though they're both married and this is an illicit affair, he's had to resign his job because this is a breach of coronavirus restrictions. Your reaction, Senator?
Oh, look, I mean, where do you even go? I think snogging is the technical term there. Honestly, what do you say?
Well, it's the hypocrisy, isn't it? He's telling other people that they can't hug and they can't attend each other's homes and all that, yet he's able to...
It's his hypocrisy, but I don't know, it wasn't a random stranger, and I assume it's not the first time they've been in close contact with each other. So, but I do understand the hypocrisy, and you certainly can't be out there making as public health orders or restrictions on citizens of a country and then so blatantly flaunt them yourself.
Indeed. Well, Malcolm Turnbull brought in a bonking ban. Maybe Boris will have to bring in a snogging ban. But a serious issue related to this is that you're suggesting fully vaccinated Australians should be able to escape hotel quarantine if and when they can travel, that they could quarantine at home. This is the sort of model, of course, we need to go down. But how soon, how quickly could we get to that status?
Look, I think people that are fully vaccinated should be allowed to quarantine at home. I also think that Australians that are fully vaccinated should be able to travel around their country without the same sort of border restrictions we're seeing in place. When we want to talk about the UK, they've had over the past 7-day average over 14,000 cases per day. Our rolling average in New South Wales over the past 7 days is 18. Can you imagine if we had 14,000 cases in this country over a 7-day rolling average? I mean, the hysteria would just be out of control. The cash for comment epidemiologists who were GPs up until 12 months ago, or health advisors who now are seeming experts on scare campaigns and locking us down as quickly as possible. We have to start looking for what the roadmap is, what the light at the end of the tunnel is. I think hotel quarantine is unnecessary for some people. And again, I'm happy to be guided by the health advice, but certainly internationally we're seeing fully vaccinated people are able to home quarantine. We've seen, even with the current strand in New South Wales, that people were vaccinated at a party in Hoxton Park, I think it was. It was the unvaccinated people who contracted the virus, not those that are vaccinated.
Indeed.
So we do have to ramp up the vaccine program and get people out.
Yeah, well said, Senator. That's where we need to head. Thanks for joining us, Senator Holly Hughes there from New South Wales. Of course, there's a living, breathing example of that, and that is our vaccinated Prime Minister, who's currently quarantining at home at the Lodge, and is conducting as we speak, a National Cabinet, hopefully looking at some of these pathway measures to a new future.